Hello guys, welcome to another tutorial. In this tutorial, I'm going to introduce you to a fairly new Global Land Cover Dataset which was released collaboratively by ESRI and the Impact Observatory Institute. Now if we talk a bit about how this dataset has been prepared, it is basically making use of the existing Sentinel-2 satellite image repository. And as we know, if we have multispectral images which are basically recording information that corresponds to different ranges of wavelengths, we are able to derive the land cover by doing a classification, and there are various types of image classification techniques, as we also have discussed quite a few times on this channel in the recent past. However, in this particular case, they have made use of a deep learning artificial intelligence classification model in order to derive these land cover maps using those satellite images of year 2020 that were captured by the Sentinel-2 satellite. And this global land cover map has a resolution of 10 meters, and the final product is basically categorized into 10 different land cover classes. And on the screen you can see what those land cover classes are. So that's a bit about the background of the dataset. Now let's go ahead and see how we can access the data portal, and then we'll see how we can download some of these data for an area of our interest. So you can simply head over to this livingatlas.arcgis.com/landcover website. And over here you can find basically the general information regarding this product. Right over here, if you click on this access map, you will be directed to this page. And as you can see over here, we have a bit of a description about the product, and what I'm interested over here is this map viewer. So I'm going to open up this map viewer. And right over here you can see an actual visualization of the classified global land cover map. Let's say if I were to zoom into some area over here, you can very quickly get an idea what these different colors are actually attributed to by checking out this legend over here. So basically blue color is attributed to water bodies, and these red color patches are corresponding to built up areas. And as you can see, we have quite a spread of these yellow color areas which are attributed to the croplands. And right over here we also have the presence of snow and ice, along with some areas which we can presume to be some forested areas, I believe. So just like this, you can see that the availability of this map basically extends throughout the entire globe. And even you can make some changes to the appearance of this map simply by, let's say, increasing the transparency. You can see the underlying map along with the labels of these major cities. So that can be helpful for you to sort of narrow down your search. And after that, we can reduce the transparency of the global land cover map, just like this, so that you can start seeing the different classes again. Alright, so this is how the data basically looks, and now we'll see how we can download this data for an area of our interest. So for that, I'm going to head back to this Living Atlas website, and right over here you will see a link to download this data. So I'm going to go over here and click on this link, and that'll open up a different web portal. And if you would like to download the full global dataset in GeoTIFF format, you can download it from here, but that's going to be quite heavy, 60 gigabytes. And if you don't want to do that, you can simply close this, and after that you can see the presence of some tiles. So what we can do is we can simply zoom into the area of our interest. Now for this particular example, I'm going to download the data which corresponds to Belgium, and I have a shapefile which demarcates the boundary of Belgium, and later on I'm going to use that as a boundary to sort of clip the downloaded raster in order to get this ESRI 2020 land cover dataset for Belgium. And if I zoom in over here, you can see that we have Belgium right over here, and that falls under this particular tile. Now it would be ideal if we could upload maybe a shapefile or a KMZ file into this portal which can show us exactly the boundary of let's say the country or the region that I'm interested in, so that I can make sure whether that area falls within, let's say, just only one tile or whether it's covering multiple tiles or not. In that case, we can decide to download the data which corresponds to multiple tiles. But unfortunately, I do not see an option to do that. What we just have is a search panel over here from which we can search a specific area, but that doesn't really demarcate or show the spatial extent of, let's say, an administrative boundary or anything like that. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the tile that I'm interested in downloading, simply once like this. And over here, you can see an option to download that. So I'm going to simply click over here, and the process of downloading will get initiated. And at the same time, I would also like to point out the fact that this product is actually licensed under Creative Commons. And if I click over here, you can see that it's taking me back to the same portal that I was at before. And if you check over here, it states that this dataset is available under Creative Commons BY-4.0 license. And if you're using this for any purpose, it's good that if you can provide the appropriate credits where it's due in accordance with what has been stated over here. So that's something to keep in mind. And this is the raster that got downloaded. So we can use a common GIS software to view this raster. You can use either QGIS or ArcGIS, a software like that. And I'm just going to go with ArcGIS desktop for this particular case. But you guys can pick whichever the software that you would like to work with. And then let's navigate to our working folder, which is this one. And right over here, you can see that GeoTIFF raster. So I'm going to simply drag this and drop it over here. So this is how the data which corresponds to that particular tile that we downloaded looks. And if we inspect some of the metadata simply by going to the properties, we can see that it's fully georeferenced and it's belonging to the UTM zone 31 north. So everything seems to be perfectly fine. And now all I have to do is simply overlay a shapefile of my area of interest. In this case, I'm going to overlay the entire map of Belgium, which I'm going to pick from here. And I'm going to drag this and drop it over here. And now you can see that the data that we have basically is extending further beyond my area of interest. So in that case, I can confirm that I don't really need to download any other tiles. And just a quick note, if we need to perform a clip operation, we need to make sure that both of these layers are in the same coordinate reference system. But if I right click over here and go to properties of this Belgium shapefile, you can see that the coordinate reference system is actually still in geographic coordinate reference system, WGS 1984. So we need to reproject this first into the same coordinate reference system as this one right here. And after that we can perform the clip operation. So since the coordinate reference system of my data frame, which you can check by simply going over here to the layers and to the properties, is already being set to UTM zone 31 north, a simple way of basically reprojecting this particular layer will be by exporting it by going to data and export data. And while doing that, we can specify that we would like this exported version of this file to have the coordinate reference system of this data frame. Simply by clicking over here, and I'm going to rename this to be Belgium _ UTM zone 31 north.shp. It's going to be a shapefile, and we can click OK, and we're going to add that. Now we can simply deactivate this layer. And now if you check the coordinate reference system, you can see that it has already taken the coordinate reference system of the data frame. And now we can simply go to the search panel and say clip, and we can select clip data management, and my input raster is basically going to be this downloaded raster, and the output extent will be defined by this reprojected shapefile that we created just a few seconds ago. And it's quite important that we tick this box, use input features for clipping geometry, so that this raster will get clipped exactly according to the boundary of this shapefile. And after that we can specify the output location. I'm going to name this as Land Cover Belgium. This BE stands for Belgium. And it's important to specify the file format. We are going for a TIFF format, so I'm going to put .tif. And after that we can simply click OK. And after the process is done, if I simply go ahead and get rid of these unwanted layers, so you can see that this is how the land cover distribution looks according to the classification by ESRI and Impact Observatory Institute. So it's always good to cross-check the validity of this kind of a product, because since it's using programmed algorithms to do this kind of classification, there's still a chance that what the model interprets might not really tally or match with what's existing in that particular location in reality. So it's always recommended that we do ground truthing as much as possible just to verify the accuracy of this kind of a dataset. But generally we can consider this to be a good product. And if you're still wondering about the color scheme that we get when we dragged and dropped the original data over here, if I open up the web portal that I was referring to at the beginning of the tutorial, just to explore the data, and if I set the two windows side by side in this kind of a manner, you can see that it's basically still following the same color categorization that's being used in this original web portal. So basically this area is referring to this region right over here. And you can see that built up areas are represented in red color in both the images, and the presence of trees in green color, and the presence of water bodies in blue color, and the crops in yellow color. So you can still interpret the distribution of these different land cover components based on this particular color categorization. And keeping that in mind, you can use this dataset for your further analysis. So that basically concludes this tutorial. I hope this tutorial was helpful for you guys. If you do have any questions regarding what we discussed today in this tutorial, do not hesitate to add a comment down below in the comments box. And we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel as well if you would like to stay tuned for interesting GIS related tutorials like this on a weekly basis. So thanks a lot for watching guys. I'll see you again in another tutorial.